Welcome to Your Health. Well, it's December and the holidays are upon us. With the holidays come winter weather, and we've had it so very nice for such a long time that I think winter is going to hit us with a vengeance this year, along with the holidays, and they'll all come about the same time. Joining us today is my co-host, Dr. Laura Boyd, who is a family medicine physician with Elmhurst Clinic right here on Lake Street. Good morning, Dr. Boyd. Here's what we're going to talk about over the next 25 minutes. How to be smart and healthy, about what you eat and drink during the holiday season. We'll talk about dangerous toys and what Santa really should know and what he should know to avoid this year. How to deal with holiday stress and what's referred to as the holiday blues. And how to play it safe in the cold weather, snow and ice in winter, slippery time.
Correct.
But yeah. Kids love to play outside, so we're going to talk about those topics primarily through the next 25 minutes. But I think the first thing we need to address is all of this wonderful food in front of us. I kind of always jokingly, but not really jokingly, talk about unless it's fried and rolled in honey or sugar, it can't possibly be good.
Correct.
And it's usually not good for you, but it's so tasty.
Yes.
But how do we deal with that over the holiday season? Because Stollen is healthy. It's got fruit in it.
Yeah.
It's also bread and rolled
butter.
in sugar.
Yeah.
It's got to have butter on it.
Yes, I'm
you
sure.
know.
Yes.
And the honey balls, they've got to be fried and then rolled in honey and then candy.
Yeah.
But they're good.
Correct, yes. I think it's just that balance. I always tell patients, they always get nervous when they're going to holidays and they assume that they're going to gain weight and that they're upset about that. They're preemptively thinking that. But I think the main thing is knowing you're going to a party. Don't starve yourself throughout the day, because then you tend to show up and kind of eat everything because you're hungry. Don't necessarily do that. Have good, healthy food throughout the day and go in having something already on your stomach. Maybe have some almonds before you leave the house, or some veggies or some fruit, just so that you don't walk in starving and go straight for the first thing that you see. Take your time and kind of look at the whole table and kind of decide what combination of things is going to work, and not overdo on one thing or another.
Well, look at what's there before you begin grazing.
Yes, exactly.
But there are things that, you just have to have in the holidays, because you do kind of wait for it, and just can't wait to try it, to taste it, to have it. Yeah. But some of them aren't all that bad for you.
Well, correct. Some things will have a little, like here on the table, we have some chocolate. The dark chocolate tends to be a little bit better, a little bit less sugar. Antioxidants are in it. Sometimes they'll be with the almonds, like chocolate covered almonds, and you get the protein in there. So kind of do that combo. And then take the orange on the side so you get the fruit. And you can have a little bit of the fried stuff too, but I think it's just always portions. So you have your dessert plate, have a little bit of everything. Don't have full pieces of everything, kind of spread it out so you're not overdoing it.
Instead of a large piece, go for a small piece. But because you do crave it and you wait for it, and like I said, the Stollen does have vegetables.
Yes,
not fruit, it has fruit in it.
Yeah.
And the chocolate covered almonds are good for you. That's high in protein.
Correct, yes.
That's an excuse to have.
Yes, you have a little bit. Mix it up.
Not a big handful.
Correct.
Just a little.
Just a little bit. And remember, when you get your plate, have some veggies on there. Don't skip over the veggies. Put that on your plate. Have a little bit of everything, just like you would normally. Have your protein, have a little vegetable, have your carb, but don't go back for the second plate is often the problem
that's no
too.
fun.
Yeah.
You got to have a lot of everything. And then, the thing is we all overdo for the Christmas season, and then New Year's comes and I'm making a resolution. I'm going to eat healthy this year. I'm going to lose weight. And that lasts about a week.
Correct.
At the most.
Yes.
At the most, But a lot of times I think the weight that you pack on over the holidays stays with you.
Yeah, sometimes, unfortunately.
Yeah, and every year you just pack on a little bit more.
Yes.
But it's fun. Holidays are fun, but you can have fun and...
You can make smart choices. And the other thing, too, to remember is the alcohol. having extra drinks. So that is, extra calories. So, maybe you have a glass of water in between. Maybe you have a glass of wine or two. Don't go more than that for sure. Because there is it average is about 150 calories a glass of wine. So it depends on white or red. Yes.
Is there any?
And sugar, it's high in sugars too still. So kind of making those, right choices with that too can help you have a good overall diet.
What about vodka and orange juice? Now you're eating healthy.
Yeah. A little vitamin C in the orange
little
juice.
vitamins in there. But I never realized or never even thought about the glass of wine that
Correct.
you have with the holiday dinners.
Yes.
It's got calories.
Correct. Yeah. So sometimes if you're really trying to be good, skip that and have the glass of water and have the Soli instead.
And again, proportions.
Correct.
Don't overdrink, and for multiple reasons, not just because of the calories. If you're driving, or even if you're walking,
Correct.
You need to have your wits about you to be safe.
Oh yes. Too many times you often hear someone slipping on the ice or falling, and sometimes their gait was a little bit off because of the alcohol, after a party. So.
And as you said, after a party, after the holidays, I know there's the holiday blues, but I think a lot of the holidays is stress. Everybody stresses out. The gift buying, the meals, decorations. You really stress out through the holidays.
Correct.
And I don't know, holiday blues, it depends. I think it hits after the holidays when it's like the letdown.
Yeah, sometimes January, February, especially if you're in Chicago or in the Midwest. The cold comes and all the festivities are done and you're not leaving the house as much. And so it does become a little bit depressing. I tell patients all the time, trying to continue with the exercise, continue being active, getting outside the house. And that's, sometimes that's when we're telling people to take extra vitamin D because they're not getting the sun exposure, or make sure they're getting it in their dietary, in their foods and sometimes in their dietary supplements, depending on what they're taking. But it's really important to keep that up, and even talk to your physician about seeing a therapist.
Well, see, and that's something that I think a lot of people are frightened of the word therapist.
Yeah.
Oh, nothing's wrong with me.
Yeah, and and it's a really bad. I try to talk to my patients about this a lot because there's just such a negative connotation sometimes for them. They say, "Well, I'm not crazy," and I said, "Well, that's not who sees a therapist. It's you and me. It's people just wanting to talk about what things are happening in their life. Someone that's removed from their family and friends. It's much better to get advice from the therapist than maybe the friend that maybe doesn't have the best advice for you as far as behavioral changes that can help you move forward.
Just somebody to talk to.
Yes, and sometimes that's all you need. And Elmhurst now has this great program. It's Linden Oak. It's paired with Linden Oaks and with Edwards Hospital. That they have it's called Linden Oaks Navigator. So I put in a referral, and then they contact the patient and try to set up the patient directly with a therapist. So the patient isn't having to call 3 or 4 different therapy places to figure out what insurance, if their insurance covers it or what have you. They call the patient directly, and it's awesome. We've really taken advantage of it, and patients love it because they're not trying to, scramble to find who they can see.
And also finding out who is covered by insurance.
Correct.
Because that's
Huge.
a big issue. That's a big issue. Does insurance cover it? And if the doctor does the referral and it comes through Edward Linden Oaks Elmhurst Hospital, chances are
they'll be good.
It'll be covered by
exactly.
insurance.
They wouldn't steer them in the correct, in the way.
And I think sometimes as you get older, depression hits you more through the holidays. You've lost loved ones, people that are far away, and
Yes.
it could add to that depression. And somebody outside of the family or friends to just talk to, have a conversation with somebody it's not related or connected to the issues.
Correct. And I always tell patients the therapist is there to have a conversation with you, to talk with you, and to counsel you. They're not there for medications. I think that's often what people think, that, oh, you're sending me a psychiatrist, and some people need to see a psychiatrist.
That's a different
yes,
route.
but it's a different route, correct? And sometimes it's in combination. Sometimes they need both. But 100%, I try to encourage patients that need it to see a therapist and to get past the stigma of it.
Yeah, I think the stigma is an issue, and I think eventually we'll get through that, and I hope we do.
Correct.
I certainly hope we do. There is another big topic, Santa's safety. Every kid has their Christmas list. I am sure you have a 7-year-old,
Yes,
or almost 7-year-old,
yeah.
almost
You're a
7.
baby.
And I'm sure the kids all have the lists done immediately after Halloween.
Exactly right.
And they're hanging on the refrigerator or where parents can see them, and God forbid Santa should miss something.
Correct, yes.
But they're not all toys and games that they should be having.
Yes. And I think that, fortunately, a lot of the games now have age parameters on them. And so I think that's really important that parents still kind of look at that, especially with those video games. Some of those video games will say, 6 to 8 or 8 to 10, or it will be, parental advisory or something that will maybe have some more violence and stuff that they should look at that stuff and recognize that it's there for a reason, to take heed. Your daughter or your son might want that game, but maybe it might not be the best for them. But other things too, just safety also for these kids' toys, a lot of them also will have age ranges. And it's really best to stick with them because sometimes there'll be little pieces in them that a little one would put in their mouth, especially if your child all of a sudden is now crawling. You don't know what toy they're going to get at the other side of the room. Or mixed ages too is hard because sometimes your 5-year-old wants that Lego set, but your 9-month-old is crawling and getting at everything. So you need to make sure that that toy is in a specific area or specific packaging that the little one can't get at it, but your 5-year-old can enjoy it. I think it's important.
Because those little Lego toys, while Lego is wonderful,
awesome.
the little toys are tiny
definitely
and
a
chunkable.
huge hazard. And the other thing too to remember is that a lot of people are now getting a lot of their toys on like eBay or Craigslist and that sort of thing. So you don't know if they've been recalled. And it's important. Our assumption is all the toys that are in toy stores or Target or Walmart, what have you, they're all been screened. And they're pulled off the shelves if they've been recalled. But the things that you're getting, used, you don't know. And so there is, there was one website notice called safekids.org that you can look and
so
look
there
if
is
you
a
recalls.
website where you can actually, and it shows all the recalls?
And it shows like the recalls for the past few years. So you can kind of like go to the year that the toy was manufactured if you know and screen through it. Or, sometimes even if that's Google, we don't always doctors don't like Googling everything, but, throw in a toy on Google, sometimes you could see if there's a recall on it. So especially if you're getting these toys that have been used already, you're getting them on Craigslist, eBay, it's a good thing to kind of look back and look at them, especially if they're kids stuff that potentially could have been recalled or something that has a wiring component to it. A lot of those remote control type things too, sometimes they can overheat. So all those type of things that you should definitely take a look at, make sure.
And batteries. I mean, everything has a battery operated this, battery operated that. And can that be dangerous?
Yeah, especially those little guys, the little lithium
Yes,
batteries.
the little,
correct.
they're like a coin shape.
Exactly, yeah. So you want to be really careful with the little ones. Or even, your 4-year-old or your 5-year-old, just to really teach them, this is actually not a toy, this is something that could be dangerous, and having those conversations.
Yeah, and show them what it is. I mean, don't just tell them about it. Physically show them, and then they know this is not good. This is not something that you need to put in your mouth. If your brother or sister does that,
take it away.
Take it away from them. Come get me, something like that. Balloons are another thing.
Yeah.
They scare the daylights out of me because a broken balloon.
Correct, the little pieces and the plastic, you throw it, swallow it.
And you should remove the tags, and you just have to be very, very cautious because kids are kids.
Correct, yeah. You never know what piece might pull off, or especially if you open all the presents and kind of just leave them there, and then you're doing your thing and you don't know what the little one might be going to grab at. Like you said, with the tags and stuff like that, they could easily pull off.
And they're very
Sometimes
fast.
Buttons will be attached to clothing and stuff like that, so you really need to be careful and cognizant of that.
And kids are very fast.
Yeah.
And they're way smarter than we give them credit for. What about, there's household safety too, and I don't think we pay that much attention at Christmas time, especially when you put your tree up.
Correct, yes.
You need to make certain that if it's a fresh tree, it should be watered every day.
Yes.
Also, if it's a fresh tree, what about the electrical lights that are on it?
Yeah, make sure that they're newer and that they're all working properly, and that it's in an area that you're going to pay attention to, and you could see the outlets and everything. That if there was anything to spark, and you should turn it off at night. Really.
Or when you're not home.
You're not home, making sure that all that is set, that it's not going on when you're not at home too. Sometimes people do the timers, but really, with the Christmas tree in your home, you probably shouldn't do it.
Especially if it's a fresh tree.
Correct.
You need to be very cautious about that, and heat and combustibles.
Correct. Anything
Sometimes you put that ornament on the tree and it's right over a light, and you think, oh, well, that light is not strong enough. Pay attention. Sometimes you really have to pay attention to that.
Correct. Yeah, you need to be careful with all of those things. And then too, in the home, making sure your fire alarms are up to date, the carbon monoxide for sure.
Good time of year to do that.
Heating system, yes, correct. Yeah, making sure all that's, changing the batteries out, all that stuff. Making sure everything's working. And
it's a good time of year to do that because you tend to think about things at that time, the batteries, the outlet, especially the smoke detectors and all that. And if people have issues with that, they can call the local fire department. They'll answer questions for you. Hopefully they don't have to come out and help you.
Yeah, exactly.
But you never know. I mean, they're there in case. You need to. And the other thing is people tend to overload outlets.
Yes. And they could start an electrical fire.
Yeah,
so you need
when
to be careful.
You see the connection to the connection to the connection, it's like, that's a fire waiting to happen.
Yes, and then the space heaters are really dangerous.
Oh, I know that.
That should only be on when you're awake also, as far as if you're having your home, or make sure it's one that's a newer one that has good electrical. The other thing along that too is the fireplaces. That tragic, a couple years ago there was a tragic fire that was a fireplace that unfortunately there was a little bit still left going on, and it could ignite the house. So making sure that the fireplace is always out before you go to bed.
And wait until you actually are sure it's out, because sometimes it looks like it's out and it's really not. Also when you're cooking, and everybody tends to actually cook more and bake more during the holidays, if that oven is on, if the stove is on, make sure you're in the room.
Yes, and make sure you turn it off at the end of the night, because everyone's coming in and out.
That it's cooled off before kids are wandering around and walking around in there. So these are just a little bit of common sense.
Yes, yeah.
A lot of common sense, actually. But all right, what about winter safety? You have to keep warm. You have to worry about hypothermia. You have to worry about frostbite.
Correct, yeah.
And I don't think people realize that you can get frostbite very easily. Even wearing gloves, wearing boots, wearing shoes, it could happen.
Correct. I mean, because especially in our winters with that wind, it's going right through some of those clothing, especially the gloves or the boots. And recognizing, the first signs usually is a little bit like discomfort. You might feel like the pain sensation in your fingers, a little tingling. But if it gets to the point of like a numbness, then you're in trouble. You really need to be warming up those fingers, those toes, because that could be the stage before it starts going into like frost nip, frostbite, or sometimes you might look at your fingers, or they look like a dusky type coloring to them, and it's not a good sign either.
And I think kids are very susceptible to that because they're outside playing and they don't pay attention.
Correct.
Oh, my toes hurt. They actually get to hurt before they actually turn to frostbite.
Correct, yeah.
So you kind of have to monitor them, and they like to be out on the sleds, and it's fun.
Yeah.
Kids should be outside. I think it's healthy for them to play outside, but you have to be very aware of the frostbite. I don't think people realize you can get that also. People walking with unsafe shoes, or just going to the mailbox, or getting the newspaper in the morning.
Yeah, we're just saying that with the ice, you just never know. I mean, sometimes people, not wearing proper footwear is the biggest thing. Or if you have a cane or a walker in your house and you're walking out without it, that's, you need to be having it with you at all times. Being careful with those, shoes like clog type things, or like slippers that they flip at the back. Those are really big trip hazards.
And the Crocs, everybody thinks, but Crocs are rubber, which slide.
Correct.
I mean, they're very slippery in even wet weather, let alone snow.
Yeah. I mean, for sure. I mean, I'll say this, my mom will kill me later, but she fell last year this exact same thing, walking out the back, and she slipped, and she had those clogged shoes on, slipped and then whacked her head, and she had to get some staples. Yeah.
See,
so you got to be careful.
And you also have to be careful. Concussion. You don't realize sometimes, a concussion can happen with just a slight bump on the head. So, especially when you walk to the mailbox or out for the paper because, I'm just going to go to the end of the driveway, or I'm just going in the mailbox. That little just, put on the right kind of shoes. Even put a jacket on, because sometimes you see them going out with a robe or a sweater and it's freezing out.
Correct. Yeah, you're taking a chance.
Silly question. It might be an old wives' tale. Keep your head warm.
Well, keeping your head warm helps to just, keeping your body temperature, keeping your body warm in general. The wise tale is, usually connected with, I went outside with a wet head, so I got a cold or I got a virus.
Doesn't really happen.
It doesn't, it's not really what's happening. It's more that your body, you're stressing your body. And so when you're stressing your body like that, then you're decreasing your immune system and making yourself more prone to getting sick. And, speaking on that, as far as like the holidays, often people get sick, but it's also they're kind of stressing their body. They're staying up later, they're going shopping, they're drinking more, they're not exercising. And those are the things that's contributing to them getting more sick because their immune system goes down.
And stress will do that to you.
Yes.
We don't enjoy the holidays as much as we should. Forget the stress, forget everything, relax and just enjoy it. A couple of things that we want to get through really quickly. When you're shoveling, be careful how you shovel.
Yes, especially, a couple of things, if you have a bad back, that's the worst thing. People throw their backs out all the time shoveling, so using proper technique, using your knees, your legs, maybe pushing the snow instead of trying to flip it up and fling it over to the side, that's notorious for throwing your back out. And then also it's a very physical activity and it's cold outside, so if you have a heart condition, don't do it, stay inside, have someone else do it.
And actually Addison Trail has a wonderful program for the elderly. If they need their driveways or something shoveled and they're not in the condition that they should be to do that, they can call the Village Hall. We'll put you on a list and then contact Addison Trail, and they have students for community service points that can come out. It has to be in the time that they can do it because they have classes, but it's another option.
That's awesome.
Kids playing in the snow. One of the things that always drives me crazy is when you see kids and I back up to a park. They're on the hill and they go down head first.
Oh yeah.
It scares the daylights out of me because they can...
Exactly, not safe at all. Yeah, go with the feet first. Head injuries are pretty common in this time of year. Unfortunately, skiing, snowboarding, all that stuff, you should be wearing a helmet. If you're going that fast, you have to have a helmet on. And speaking of helmets too, just even in the winter, these motorcycle, you need to be wearing the helmets too. It's just a horrible condition.
Snowmobiles.
Yeah, snowmobiles. Horrible accidents.
I was going to say, and don't ice skate alone.
Yeah, and snowmobile, not drinking while you're snowmobiling.
Oh, that is so dangerous.
Unfortunately, that really is a bad combination. Yeah,
it's a terrible combination. It's a deadly combination. And don't forget sunscreen in the winter.
Yeah, that's true. Especially when you're up like on a hill, you're outside for a long period of time, reflecting off that snow. It's pretty powerful, and you can get good sunburn.
Now, we talked about smoke detectors and check your furnace and check your batteries and all that, but what about check your flu shots, check your pneumonia shots? Is that the time of year you should be doing it, or should it be sooner than that?
Well, a little bit sooner. October usually was when we start getting the flu shots, September, October. So definitely trying to get in to see the physician and making sure you're up to date on your pneumonia. Pneumonia is not a yearly shot, but checking in with your doctor to see if you're up to date on that and then getting your flu shot.
And very quickly, because we only have a minute left, drive safely. Keep a blanket, keep warmer clothes in the trunk of your car. If your car stalls, you've got something to keep you warm. Also, kitty litter or sand in the trunk in case your car is stuck in the snow. But
good points,
blankets and warm clothing, just keep it in the trunk of the car. And drive slower and leave extra room to brake.
Correct.
We're really out of time. Okay. Thank you so much for joining me today, as always, and thank you all for watching. I'm Lucille Zucchero, along with Dr. Laura Boyd, and here's to your health. Have a happy, healthy holiday season.